Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Let me begin first and foremost by thanking Governor Hochul, once again standing strong as a champion of democracy and democratic principles at a time when, as she so eloquently put it, there is a battle going on across this country for our democracy. And today we are making the statement once again that New York stands on the side of democracy, on the side of democratic principles, on the side of keeping this country what we love about it, and will preserve going forward while others are doing the opposite. I bring greetings from the leader of the Senate, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who actually has one of the bills that is being signed today as well. And we have a number of senators who are carrying the various legislative proposals in this package, many of whom are here. Senators Skoufis, Bailey, Mayer, and Jackson. I know Senator Comrie and Senator Kavanaugh also had bills. And I must say a word about the one senator who I'm most upset couldn't be here today. That's Senator Zellner Myrie, who is the chair of our Elections Committee, who has done such great work in this area. The governor mentioned early voting, which is one of the reforms we are most proud of since we took the Senate majority. Zellner Myrie was in his first day in the Senate, just had gotten elected, not just a freshman in his first term. His first day was the first day of session, and he had to stand up and debate that bill. In his first day, he took steps into the Senate chamber, and he did a phenomenal job and has continued, as he likes to put it, taking New York from worst in terms of our election laws to first. And today is another great step in that direction. It should be a fundamental principle of democracy that the more people vote, the better it is. The more eligible voters are participating in the process, the more they will be invested in their government, the more the government will reflect the actual will of the people it represents. And yet, there are people who are seeking to increase their power by denying it to the average citizens of this country. And it's happening in states all over the United States, but not in New York. Thankfully, we're stepping forward and making it easier, and we have continued to do this year after year after year. It's one of the things we are proudest of since we obtained the majority in the state Senate that we have been able to accomplish, starting with early voting, but we also have made it easier for people to register to vote. We were discussing in the back room the automatic voter registration laws that we have here in New York, and the one bill in this package that I was proud to carry together with Assemblymember Reyes was the one that will allow people to vote by mail in New York whenever they feel like it. Well, not whenever, but during the early voting period, but without a reason. Up until now, our laws have required people to have an excuse to vote. And during the pandemic, COVID exposure was recognized as an excuse. And what we saw during that period was so many more people chose to avail themselves of the opportunity to vote by mail. And the question then becomes, as the governor put it, why would we not want people to have this opportunity to make it easier for them to vote, to make it more available for thousands of New Yorkers to vote, people who work and have a difficult schedule and have trouble voting in the designated hours. The early voting hours are not the easiest to understand. They bounce around from day to day to make it easier for some people who work late or some people who work early. But if you know you can just ask for a ballot during the early voting period, fill it out, and send it back in time, and it will count, that will make it so much easier for so many more people to vote. It is something we have been using for the last several years during the pandemic. It is something other states have been doing for decades without controversy, without questions about the results. And the only reason why people would oppose it is because they don't want you all to vote. And that should tell you all you need to know about people who would spend their resources and their time opposing not just that bill, but all the ones that are up here today. It will be opposed by people who oppose democracy. And that is not hyperbole. It will be opposed by people who don't want people to vote. And that's why I'm proud to be here today and celebrate the signing and thank the governor once again for her great leadership in advancing these election reforms. It is not always the sexiest issue. You know, people are without housing, people are not getting adequate education, people are in debt. There are a number of pressing issues that weigh on New Yorkers' minds. But if we don't recognize and validate and make it easier and legitimize people's votes, none of that matters. And so that's why this is so important today, and I'm so proud to be here. I also have the great honor of introducing the next speaker, who is a great partner and a great champion in her own right, the chair of the Assembly Elections Committee, Latrice Walker.